I started my business when I was broke and unemployed, and within a few years, I had generated $3 million in revenue. I grew up like a lot of people. I went to school, I got good grades, and I went on to college. I got an expensive engineering degree and thought that was the answer. And I was shocked to find out how many hours engineers, or really any professional, would spend in a cubicle. And I was really deterred from that kind of a lifestyle because I didn't want to see my kids growing up as pictures on my desk. Just replacing the pictures year after year and not knowing who they really were, and not being able to help them craft their character, support them throughout school and whatever else. And I didn't want to come home after a long day, tiptoe into their bedroom and kiss them on their forehead, and that had been the only time I'd seen them that day. A lot of times in business, you need to know what you want, but you also need to know what you don't want. And it was very clear to me that working a traditional job, whether it was in the field that I went to college for or not, just wasn't going to provide me with the lifestyle that I wanted. My first glimpses into self-stardom were met with piles of stinking failure with little sprinkles of very mild success on top. It was really about character building, seeing how far I would push myself to realize my dreams and my vision for what I wanted my future to be. And no matter how much it hurt, no matter how much time I wasted or how much money I lost trying different things out, it was all just part of the journey of becoming the better version of myself and working towards that vision. If you look at any living being, we're all made of cells, and all those cells added up to the greater organs, and all those organs and everything go together to make us who we are, right? So if you look at us at the smallest increment, that cell, in order for that one cell to grow and multiply, it literally needs to rip and tear itself apart from the inside out to form those two cells and continue on to 4 and 8, etc. So when you face struggle, it's either an opportunity for you to grow stronger, wiser, and create a little bit more thicker skin, or you're going to set those boundaries for yourself and you're going to put up fences around your vision, and you're going to just settle for something less than what your dream is. Back in 2008, when I was really starting my business, the kick in my rear was the fact that I was unemployed. I was on unemployment. I had self-esteem issues. I didn't want to give up, but I had something to prove. I even kept my EBT card, my unemployment card, in my wallet for years as a reminder, and I actually still had money on that I never used because I was too proud to take a handout. I didn't want to be on unemployment. I didn't want to be on any form of welfare or government help. I wanted to be able to support my family more than anything, and again, I had a lot of self-esteem issues where I didn't feel like a man that was going to be able to support himself or his wife or his future family at that time. And I really needed to do something about it. And that's ultimately why I knew I wanted to start my own business. At the time, we were living in a 112-year-old house. The plaster walls were cracking and peeling off, and the heat didn't work at all. It was actually the heat was in the middle of the house, and it was just one large space heater for this entire really old house. And let's put it this way, the heat did not reach all ends of this even small space that we were living in. I was actually working in the back room of this house. It was not even a back room, it was more of a poorly enclosed porch with little to no insulation. So there in upstate New York at 2 o'clock in the morning when it's bitter cold and freezing out, and I'm literally there in my back office typing, and I could barely even feel my fingers as I'm typing, just because I had that big of a dream. I was like, there's no way I'm going back to the job, and I don't care how hard I have to work, how many hours I have to work, or what I have to put in, I'm gonna make it work. When you're going after your dreams and you're going to settle for nothing less, people are going to criticize you. I know, like, family and friends of mine laughed at me. They thought I was crazy, and quite honestly, I was a bit embarrassed because I had worked full time while I was going to college full time. Somehow had a band, and a girlfriend who then became my wife. But at the time, again, I was spending so much time and so much money on that degree and working so hard to pay for all that, and then I ended up not using the degree. And no matter how hard I was trying in my business, I wasn't getting the results as quickly as I had expected, and really my business was crawling at a snail's pace at best. So it was an incredibly frustrating time, but again, that goes back to the character building and learning to delay gratification and push through those challenges. The biggest challenges from life back then versus life now, it isn't the big house or a luxury car. Those things, quite frankly, they don't get me excited. For me, it's always been about having time freedom, spending time with my family and the people I hold close to my heart. So traveling and seeing more of the world is another thing that I love doing. And when I was growing up, travel and vacations were slim. We did okay with what we had, and I appreciate what my parents did do, but every vacation was because we had to save and pinch pennies for a long time. And when we did go, it was typically within driving distance. We'd never take a plane really hardly anywhere, if at all. Maybe a couple times total in my first 20 years on this earth. We'd stay at the cheapest hotel that we could. We'd bring back a stack of coupons to pay for food and activities while we were there, just trying to cut corners. I knew that when I had my own family, I would want to travel more often and further and stay at more, beautiful, better resorts and experience the best that area had to offer. It was really, for me, more about creating experiences. If we're going to be on this earth, we want to make sure that we see as much of it as possible, right? And that was really a big goal for me when starting my business. In the last just couple of years, I've traveled to London, Cancun, San Diego like 3 or 4 times, Sacramento, Tampa, Las Vegas, St. Paul, Minneapolis area, Atlanta, and actually coming up here for our 10-year wedding anniversary, we're staying at a beautiful resort in Kauai, Hawaii. So travel is just something that really excites me. I love going, and when I can go somewhere for work and then add on a couple days before and after the event for pleasure, and it's still business expense for me, the whole trip's a business expense, it's a bonus. So memories are priceless. The time with family is priceless. That's really what I cherish. So if you compare back then, broke, unemployed, trying to make ends meet, with life now, life is a whole lot different now. I get to wake up when I want, and the cool thing is I'll generally roll over, check my phone when I wake up, and it's not out of the ordinary to see I made $500 in commissions while I was sleeping, or $20 in commissions, or $1,000 in commissions, or whatever it might be. And that's the beautiful thing about what we do and what we do online, is it's not necessarily tied to our time. Our websites are up running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and people can purchase from those websites at any time they choose. So being able to get paid while you're sleeping, getting paid while you're on vacation, I've been able to make as much as $50,000 in a single day, $60,000 or $70,000 in a single week. I get to wake up in the morning when I want to. Back when I was working a full-time corporate job, I rush, get ready in the morning, grab like a cereal bar, kind of a thing, and eat it in the car on the way to work. And now mornings are a lot more relaxed. I haven't set an alarm clock other than to get up and get ready to go to the airport for a trip or any something like that. I haven't set my alarm clock in years. I wake up, I generally make myself a breakfast, and I get to eat it slow. I eat several eggs every morning, and maybe some egg spinach omelet, orange juice or coffee, and it's very relaxed. And then after that, take a little break, check email again, and then I'll go, after half an hour, I'll go work out. So I get to now, before when I didn't have time to work out and really take care of myself, now that I wasn't working 2 jobs or 3 jobs at a time anymore. I had the time and the freedom to go and work out and make sure that I was healthy. So it's the best of both worlds. A lot of people, they don't have the income, and if they do have the income, they don't necessarily have the time. So it's this constant, fight of, well, I can make lots of money, but then I won't have any time for myself. And you can quit your job and have all sorts of time, but then you don't have any money to do any of those fun things that you want to do. So the internet's really providing not only myself, but hundreds and thousands of people that the opportunity to create a completely new lifestyle for themselves, because it allows them both the freedom of time and the freedom of finance as well. What else do I do with my time? Play video games a little bit, play some guitar. I recently started putting some videos of me playing guitar online, so we'll see what kind of comments those get. When we got started in business, my wife was optimistically skeptical. She really wanted to believe that I'd be able to make our dream income and make our dreams come true, but she had some reservations. It was more of like, if you're gonna do that, fine. I don't want to get in the way. I want to support you, but nobody makes that kind of money, kind of a thing. And she became very quickly supportive again, and it was more along the lines of, regardless of what her attitude was, I basically had the attitude of I didn't need her permission whether or not I was going to start in business or not. We basically didn't have to ask each other's permission to get in all sorts of student loan debt and credit card debt, so I wasn't going to ask anybody's permission to go and get us out of our debts and create a life of financial freedom. Going from that attitude of skepticism and just negativity and that closed-mindedness that I had, I tried to be more optimistic. It was really my curiosity that allowed me to take the next steps, because that curiosity led me to learning skill sets. And ultimately, if you're not making money online, chances are it's because you don't understand the certain process that occurs to generate that visitor to your website and to turn that visitor into a buyer. And when you start developing those skill sets and you start honing those skill sets and you start to get results with those skill sets, you're no longer skeptical or you're no longer frustrated with yourself and wondering, what's wrong with you or anything like that. And you're not skeptical of maybe the mentors that you've been learning from, because now you've gotten even a smidgen of a result from those skill sets that you've attained, that now you say, okay, well, now I'm a little bit more comfortable. And it's really just that stepping stone of developing those skill sets little by little and getting little results where they start to compound over time. And it gets super exciting when you start getting the results that you've been dreaming about for months or years, whatever it's been. So as you start to hone your skill sets and you start to get those results and make money, you got to remember that money can't be the only goal. It certainly should be a goal if you want to, impact your lives, you and your family's lives, or the lives of other people. But really, it needs to be about you and about other people. It's about impacting thousands of lives around you. And whenever I've personally made income as the goal, I've maybe achieved that level of income, and then my business would slowly regress. I wouldn't be as motivated to work on it anymore. And you don't have to look at how many celebrity stories or famous entrepreneurs or whatever, whoever it might be, that they've gone out and they've made hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. It's not the money. And they always realized that happiness wasn't about the money, and they had to go through that experience to learn it. I wanted to learn from their experience and realize that happiness is a choice. I want to be happy now, and I want to be able to impact other people's lives. And if I can make money doing all of that, great. The thing that people need to realize is your future can change in the blink of an eye. If your life took a turn for the worse in a day, your life can take a change for the better in a day, and it all starts right now. There is just simply too much opportunity right now. There's almost too many opportunities where instead of like, oh man, how do I make money online? It's like, oh, I have to choose between this stack, of cards that I have to flip through. And if I could just like go up to a magician that, holds the cards out and, pick one out and not look, oh, I can make money this way. I didn't even know that. And it's just because there's so much opportunity right now, and the technology is so good that it's opened the doors for so many people. On the TechCrunch blog, Tom Goodwin said, Uber, the world's largest taxi company, owns no vehicles. Facebook is the world's most popular media owner. They don't create any content. Alibaba, the most valuable online retailer, has no inventory. And Airbnb, the world's largest accommodation provider, owns no real estate. He says something interesting is happening. Something interesting is happening indeed. Because if you look at like the barrier of entry to anything nowadays, it is insanely low. What's the barrier of entry if I wanted to create a radio show back in like the early 1900s when the radio came out? It's like thousands of dollars to figure out how to broadcast, right? Now anybody can start up a podcast with their smartphone. If I wanted to create my own TV channel back in the 1950s, I'd need to have what, like a $50,000 camera that's like the size of an automobile. I'd have to rent out some kind of studio space. I'd have to either purchase or have access to a satellite and other broadcasting equipment. I mean, it's ridiculous how much infrastructure you need in place to be able to pull that off, and hence why there was only so many TV channels nowadays, and now there's whatever, 100, 200, whatever different TV channels, or more than that worldwide. You look at that today, in order for you to create your own channel, you need a smartphone and a YouTube account. That's it. Like even my son, who at the time of this video, he just recently turned 6 years old, he's been watching all these videos of these kids opening up their toys and sharing their experience, what they liked or didn't like about the toys on YouTube. And he's watching these things on his tablet, and he's like, Dad, I want to start my own YouTube channel. Let's make some videos. And I'm like, awesome. And even in doing that, he even knew like a call to action without even knowing what the call to action was. He finished his first video and he goes, don't forget to subscribe. And I was like, where did you learn that? And he's been learning it simply by educating himself watching these videos on YouTube. It's crazy. The opportunity for you to completely change not only your life, but the entire course of your family legacy is incredible. There has been no greater time in the history of man than right now to be able to create true time and financial freedom for ourselves and our family. A common misconception is you don't even have to be like a guru. Everybody has value to share, everybody has a story to tell, and it's about telling that story and about sharing that value with the marketplace, that the marketplace will reward you. Again, there's obviously a lot more to it than that. You want to dive into whatever trainings that you can, but ultimately it comes back to the fact that when you are putting value into the marketplace, you're going to get rewarded. I think the biggest mind bender for me when I was getting started was learning how I could separate time and money. Again, most people, like, they're out there trying to make money and they have to work so much time at their job, and they trade that time for the money. And for them to be able to make more money, they need to put in more time in their job. And then what ends up happening is they say, you know what, this money isn't enough. I don't have enough money to pay the bills, or maybe they can pay the bills, but they want to get maybe a better car or a safer car. Maybe they want to travel a little bit more with their family. Maybe they want to be able to, experience some more hobbies or whatever it might be. There's always going to be that gap of, oh, well, I don't have enough time, or if they quit their job, they've got all sorts of time but no money to experience, to create those experiences and invest into those hobbies, whatever it might be. So really what the internet does is it allows you to create that income and have more time for yourself. It's really the best of both worlds, and right now is the best possible time to be able to get started because the opportunities are only getting better and better and better for you. If I had to give everybody one piece of advice, and only one piece of advice, it would be simply don't quit. Too many people, they get started and they say, well, if I'm not making $10,000 per month in 90 days, I'm in. That's it. I'm done. I'm out. And they don't take it like a career. If this is going to be your career, if this is your only outlet to financial freedom, if this is the only way that you're going to be able to provide for you and your family, and you're only going to give it 90 days, like, really? How serious are you about your future then? And what happens with a lot of people is they put some faith into themselves, but they don't put enough. And I never wanted to give up not knowing that success or the results that I wanted were right around the corner. And if you put just 51% faith in yourself, that maybe 1 or 2 extra degrees of separation, when you put that 51% faith in yourself, now that might have been enough for you to create success. Because if you had so much doubt and so much skepticism and so many things, you were setting up your own mental roadblocks and mental speed bumps and mental walls along the way. You basically created your own obstacle course to success rather than going the straight line path by just having that faith in yourself, learning and developing your skill sets, and putting the time and effort to be successful in that endeavor. And I know you can do it. Why? Because I've done it. And I know what it took, and I know what the level of effort was. And believe me, like, once you get to those certain plateaus in your business, once you hit another peak in your business, you realize, wow, all I needed to do was rearrange the pieces that I already had, and voila, I had that success. So it's really about recognizing that, being patient in that, not being a perfectionist, and just believing in yourself enough to see it through until the end. So again, don't quit. It's my #1 piece of advice. Ultimately, now is the time. Now is the time when you need to give it your all. You need to put your heart and soul into it, because you only have one life to live. So if you're not happy with what your current situation is, if you're not happy with a relationship that you have, if you're not happy with the occupation that you have, if you're not happy with where you're spending your money and where you're spending your time, you can make that change today. I believe in you, and if you believe in yourself, just that 51%, you can truly change your life at will.